Good afternoon, everybody, and happy weekend. I have here my two babies from Wendy Graham of Wendy's Babies, and I wanted to come on with them and show you these babies side by side. I may come a little bit closer as the video goes on, show you a little bit more about Wendy's painting style. And I guess I wanted to chat a little bit about what I've learned and preferences and things like that, and sort of how a focused hobby like this, like collecting Reborns, for example, can help you to expand your beliefs in what's possible, I guess we'll say. So these guys are sitting here, laying here. Both of them, it struck me, were in white and blue. And I thought that it would be amazing to do a little side-by-side with them and get some photos. And this is a perfect opportunity to talk about them together. So these two are absolute dream babies for me. I really resonate with Wendy's style. So let's start there. Let's talk about artist style. The first thing I want to say is that when you're talking about an art, and I do believe there's a difference between, somebody who just paints the dolls to sell them and somebody who is an artist. I guess without waxing too obvious for you, an artist to me is someone who has vision, who is creative, who is drawn into the process, where the process almost paints them, and someone whose soul is in their work. So from that perspective, I don't really believe that there is a right and a wrong way to do it. I do feel like all of us can become very critical or very judgmental, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, every single thing that we do is a judgment. I mean, most of the things that we do, the choices that we make, are a judgment. It's a judgment of what we like better, what we prefer better. As much as it may happen unconsciously or uncontrollably in thoughts, actions are where it counts. That's my precursor to what I'm saying next, which is that nobody's better than anybody else. The statement itself actually sounds true, but when you really think about it, it's an oxymoron. I mean, if nobody is better than anybody else, well, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say. But in other words, it's always going to be a judgment of good, bad, or there's a sliding scale, and where do you fall? But I guess that's a pet peeve of mine. I guess that's a pet peeve of mine, for people to sit back on their high horses and act like other people are, trash or beneath them or whatever. I don't like it. So to me, that's wrapped up a little bit in the statement of, art. Art is art, and the beauty of art is in the eye of the beholder. Yes, so some people love the very, very newborn look, where you have scratches and imperfections and injuries, and that can go anywhere from just stork bites to baby pimples to, again, scratches, injection marks. I actually really like that look as long as it's not overdone. Some people love the perfect dolly look, and there are some very high-end doll artists who make baby dolls that are just pristine, and they are so perfect that they do look like dolls, although very realistic dolls. And some people really love that and pay a lot of money for that style. Some people love more of the darker skin look. Some people love lots and lots of mottling. Some people love the peaches and cream look, and some people love the very fair skin look, and the list can continue. These two babies from Wendy, Wendy tends to paint her babies in a very fair skin tone. Now it does vary the type of skin tone, and I'll show you that a little closer up with these guys in a minute. Some of that to me plays into the fact that she does indeed live in England, in the English countryside. And from what I know about England, you have a lot of rain and clouds and just more fair-skinned people in general, historically. In my opinion, my understanding, which may or may not be true or correct. But her babies also have a lot of character and a lot of personality, and typically her rendition on kits is very, very different from any other ones that I have seen. And that's the other thing. You know, you have that very, very cute, adorable, soul-twisting, cute baby look, and then you have babies that have a little more character, that look different, that don't look like your traditional kind of cute. So people may be drawn in one direction or the other. With Wendy's babies, I tend to see unexpected things with what she does with kits, and I tend to really be drawn to the babies that she does. And obviously I haven't purchased all of them. 2 of them have jumped out. They just so happen to be, unfortunately for me, 2 of her most popular babies. So, you know, you really want it. You really have to go for it. Which actually, let's go with that for a minute then. Okay, so what have I learned with collecting so far? One thing that I've learned is that, in my opinion, it's better to figure out what you really want and make that happen rather than settling. I definitely had a time where I thought back and I thought about what it cost me to get this little guy. And, you know, not to talk about money too much, but, well, no, let's talk about it. So I thought, man, I could have had multiple decent dolls for the price of one doll. You know, did I do a stupid thing? And I think it's a valid way to go about collecting if you want to experience multiple dolls. And let me tell you, there are some incredible artists out there that either don't know their worth, they don't make it a big enough time investment of their life to really get competitive price-wise, or they're just undiscovered. You know, maybe they're newer talent, but they're really, really good. So you can get phenomenal prototype quality dolls for really, really what I would consider to be budget baby prices. It can happen. You just need to look, and you need to know what you're looking for. A lot of times you can find artists who they're not great with their photography, but if you know what you're looking at and you know what you're looking for, you might come across them. Also, maybe they don't list well. Maybe they don't title their auctions well. Maybe they don't include the right information in their in their description for them to be popping up. So if you can get creative with your searching and you can be patient, you really, really can find undiscovered gems. But anyway, so I have babies at different places along the scale of price, and certainly you can go even higher, of course, than I have spent on vinyl Reborn dolls. But my conclusion is that it's better to wait for what you really, really, really want and to find a way to make it happen. So let's talk about that, because this is a really cool phenomenon. And it's not just with Reborn dolls, and this is definitely not the first time that I've mentioned this. Let's use a different story. So I used to have 3, I now have 2, because I sold one of these items in order to purchase my motorcycle. I have a couple of stones that are called Ye Mingju. Ye Mingju. They're from China. They're found in caves, and they're a special kind of fluorite that actually will absorb the qualities of the sun and charge much like a glow-in-the-dark thing would. However, it is a natural stone, and it retains that, and it glows, not forever, but it glows. And it is, you can find them in green, blue, or purple. And they're varying qualities. But these disappeared for a very, very long time, and they used to be only available to royalty and things like that. All of the documentation at one point was completely destroyed, so they fairly recently started over with that. But they're believed to be very powerful if you believe in mineral magic, or the energetic power of gems and stones, then you might vibe with this. They are amplifiers. Some people believe that they're not even originally from Earth, which, by the way, does happen. There are meteors that have crashed into Earth, and those stones have gone to be sold in the gem world, and they're named after the country that they landed in. But anyhow, they have different types of vibrations or feelings to them. They're supposed to be protective and amplifiers and cleansers, but they're very expensive. So just to give you a little insight, my least expensive one was $700. And my most expensive one, which was a gift from my husband, cost 2.5 times what my used car cost. Yes. So my first one was my least expensive, and when I first heard what they cost, I thought, man, I wish I could. I wish that I could. And then, of course, the immediate follow-up was, but I can't. Until I fell in love with one, until I felt connected to one, until I felt like it needed to happen. And if anybody's interested in seeing them, by the way, leave a comment down below that you would like to see what these things look like, because they're really interesting. Anyway, somehow I purchased my first one, which was the least expensive one. The next one I purchased was about 50% more money, and I made that happen. And I have to tell you, the same thing happened with my career. I started out in office jobs, and I worked my way up to, branch management, and was on my way to, division. Well, actually, no, I was a division director. I was on my way to being, at the director level, and extremely lucrative job, and I didn't love it, and I changed my life. And I remember when I went to my first, it was a 4-day event that I ended up becoming an instructor, and then things rolled forward from there. Sitting in my first event, I remember saying, man, I wish I could do this for a living. I wish I could work here, work with this event, but I can't, because I didn't do the right thing with my career from the beginning. I didn't become a yoga instructor or something like that, so this would never be for me. Until it was, because 2 months later I was level 3 certified. 4 months later I was being flown to volunteer at an event. I had already volunteered locally. I don't know, I'm just throwing numbers out there, but say 6 months later, I was paid for the first time to work at an event. And then I put my wheels in motion, and next thing you know, I was the assistant to the, owner and presenter and founder of the organization. And it was my full-time job, and I was traveling the country. And then I remembered me saying, if only I could. So fast forward to dolls. And my first doll was $200. It was a custom baby, and it was actually pretty good. And then, until I fell in love with him. And then it's amazing what you can do. And it's amazing how your limitations can go away. And some people call it like flossing the channels, or I call it flossing the financial channels. I don't know if anybody else calls it that. But a lot of teachers do say, people like Tony Robbins and other teachers say, if you want something, you have to give what it is that you want the most or lack the most. If you are short on time, you need to volunteer. If you want more money, you need to donate. If you want to continue to grow financially, you need to spend. You need to have money that you spend just for fun. And when you hold on to things too tightly in a fist like this, nothing can get in either. And that vibration of those words like savings and, the fear about spending and all those things, to me, clog up the channels. And what I found is when you find something that can expand your belief on what is possible, it's amazing how somehow it shows up. Somehow you're able to make it happen. And some of that's priority, but some of it is magic, I think. It's magic about understanding that there is no lack of resources. It's a limiting belief. I don't know. I know that that's not as simple as that. I know there are a lot of things that are going on in the world that would challenge that statement, so perhaps it's oversimplified. But that has been my experience with the dolls. So figure out what you like, and if that means buying a couple of babies to see them in person, because until you see a reborn in person, you really don't know what to expect. And seeing other reborns in person has helped me relax into being satisfied with my collection, because a reborn in person is different than a reborn in photographs and videos on the whole, I think. I mean, first of all, you get up close, they're all dolls. None of them are real babies, no matter how real they look in a photo or in a video. They're all dolls. And so that striving for something different and better sometimes subsides a little bit if you're able to go see the babies in person. But anyway, if it means buying some dolls and then perhaps having to sell to figure out what it is that you like, then so be it. At the end of the day, I think that figuring out what you really want and then making that happen, even if it takes a little while, but believing that you can, pulling the strings you need to pull, I think that's the best way to go. Because 9 months ago, never would I believe that I would have these two really nice reborn dolls sitting in my home. And I have two other adorable babies that aren't on camera right now. No way. No way. No way. Especially when you're starting out and you think that's crazy to pay that for a doll. And you've only seen like scratch the surface of what these things cost. And then you learn and you're like, what? And then all of a sudden a $200 doll is cheap. Cheap. So then see how the thinking starts to change? That's nothing, that's so little. See how your mind starts to expand, your belief about what's possible starts to expand. Okay, anyway, let's let me stop going on and on. Let's look at these babies a little bit closer. Perhaps I should take the camera off of the stand here so that I can go up and show you their details a little closer. And I will try to be as steady as possible. So when I first got Niklaus, he has dark blonde Delta Dawn mohair. And when I got him, I thought, man, that's red hair. I mean, I almost would swear that it's faded, but it hasn't. It's just that Brewster, she has fawn colored hair and she is a true redhead. So both of these babies are from Wendy Graham, as I mentioned, and they're both fair-skinned fair-skinned babies. But if you look, you can see that they're different skin tones. So, and I think that's really cool. So Niklaus is much more like pale, I would say. And you can see his mottling pretty well through the camera, I guess. And you can see his veining. See how his veins are thin? But he's pale. He's fair in a blonde kind of way. And then Brewster is a redhead, and she's a totally different baby. Now, her veining always picks up a little bit crazier on camera than it is in person, but if you look at her veining, it's broader. To me, it gives her skin even more of a translucent look to it. But you have a different skin tone. So she's got a redder, pale and red look to her. Different than Niklaus. Their hands are picking up kind of similar, but you can certainly see it in their faces. Both dolls have open noses. Both dolls have open noses. Both have the glossed lips. This little double chin. What a cutie guy. Both have incredible mottling. And rosy knees. And I have to tell you, that's like one of my favorite things, is the rosy knees. Now, kit-wise, this Atticus kit, he has unbelievable calf muscles and biceps. He's got great muscle definition. He's from Laura Lee Eagles. And the Peanut Sculpt, which is what she is from Priscilla Lopez. Look at those knees. She put Peanut on a non-jointed full-limb body, and then she put Atticus on a full-limbed but jointed body, which is not the body that came with the kit. I did ask her, what factored into her choice to do that. She said it's just a matter of preference. She likes them both for different reasons. People have their preferences, and a lot of times she will not use the kit that comes from comes with the kit. She won't use the body that comes with the kit because she calls it, she finds it to be rubbish. So, and most of the time she has bodies made for her, so. So these are my two Wendy's babies. Now she does, I've seen her do very, very newborn. I've seen one or two babies where she's done sparse, shorter hair. In general, she does a fuller head of hair. She does a swirl. I typically find that this left side of the face on both of these dolls anyway is a direction where it lays down like this, and then on the other side, let's see if I can turn him. Typically the hair almost is rooted directionally, like coming forward. But she definitely does a fuller head of hair, especially on top and on the sides, and then she does it's a little bit thinner on the back of the head. She does great attention to detail. Her creasing is wonderful. The color variations in the fingers, amazing. She does do a matte varnish. It's not heavy, so I think that, it does wear down, or it will wear down. It's not heavy, but they have a great texture to them. And she has a proprietary formula that she's developed with her paints that isn't something that she buys. It's something that she mixes herself that gives a reflective quality to the paint so that you get more of that living skin glow. Because of the energy and the style of her babies and her way of painting, there's a different personality that I imagine for the babies that these dolls would represent. You can see it in the way that they're dressed right now, actually. It's a timeless, somewhat timeless. I mean, this is pretty modern, you can see, but it is more of a classic look. I've said many times with Niklaus when I saw him, whose given name is Thomas, by the way, and her name is Jackie. That's the doll name from the artist. I just didn't choose to keep that name. I've said with him, I imagine him in a pram, in a park, in an English town, you know, Notting Hill. He's quiet and he's thoughtful and he's not a part of the television commercial, iPhone, modern, tacky culture. Just to put it that way, that I am very much a part of, by the way. And Brewster, same thing. Just a little bit of a different time that they're from, a different world, but more of a classic baby feel. So those are my two Wendy's babies. Now you can look at her gallery. She doesn't have all of her babies. She doesn't have these two. I don't know. Well, maybe she has Brewster, but I know that she doesn't have pictures of this Atticus that she did in her gallery. But you can visit her website. It is wendys-babies.co.uk, I believe. I will include a link in the description if you want to look at some of her other styles. She has a really cool Sunny that she did. She's done some very interesting kits. Her Penny by Natalie Blick I just absolutely loved. And that kit is hit or miss for me. So there they are. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I just wanted to include you in a little bit on these two cutie pies. And hopefully you were able to see a little bit of their painting and pick up a little bit of Wendy's style, and maybe think a little bit about, especially if you're brand new to this community, you know, think a little bit about what, well, not even dolls, in life in general, what you can make possible. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. Hope to hear from you in the comments below. And either way, I look forward to seeing your videos and what's going on in your world. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I look forward until next time. Bye for now.